Hey everyone, welcome back to today's Daily Explainer. I am thrilled to be here with you because we've got a lot of ground to cover. Today, we're taking the noise of the daily news cycle and distilling it into the exact high-yield insights you need for your UPSC exams. We're mapping the most crucial current affairs directly to your syllabus.
So, what's on the docket today? We're diving into governance with the ongoing NEET controversy, the economy, specifically RBI moves in GDP growth, some big shifts in international relations regarding oil and trade, science with India's AI summit, and finally, the environment, looking at the severe heatwave crisis.
All right, let's jump right into governance. We're looking at the NEET controversy, focusing on exam integrity and the CJP protests. So how did this all unfold? Well, it started in recent days with paper leak claims popping up online, right? And then, boom, by Saturday morning, students and a new group calling themselves the Cockroach Junta Party, or CJP, are physically gathering at Jantar Mantar. They essentially transformed digital anxiety into a real on-the-ground protest. Fast forward to Saturday afternoon, the NTA steps in and completely dismisses all these claims. But the tension doesn't just fizzle out. By Saturday evening, the CJP protest wraps up with a pretty serious ultimatum. Now, taking a completely neutral look at this, the official stance from the National Testing Agency, the NTA, is crystal clear. They took swift action to categorically deny that the exam paper was compromised in any way. Their exact words: "Every such claim is a fabrication." You know, for any future administrator, watching how institutions handle crisis communication like this to defend their integrity is absolutely crucial. On the flip side, the protesters are holding their ground. The CJP, founded by Abhijit Dipke, managed to bring out huge crowds, even getting backing from prominent figures like activist Sonam Wangchuk, who actually offered a word of caution and thanks to the gathering. And they aren't backing down. Dipke literally called this gathering just a trailer and issued a strict 7-day deadline for the Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan, to step down. Honestly, it's a textbook example of how modern pressure groups mobilize and use tactics in Indian democracy. Moving on to the economy, we're breaking down the RBI, GDP growth, monetary policy, and our current macroeconomic momentum. 7.7%. Let that number sink in for a second. This is the upgraded GDP growth estimate for the 2026 financial year. Seriously, if you're writing an economics answer anytime soon, anchor it to this metric. It is a massive, definitive indicator of the pace at which the Indian economy is actually expanding right now. And Prime Minister Modi is really doubling down on this strong momentum. He announced this upgrade, making it very clear that the government's policy of reform, perform, transform is going to continue uninterrupted. Basically, it's a massive signal to both domestic markets and global watchers that the executive branch is sticking to its current economic blueprint to keep this 7.7% trajectory alive. But here's where the macroeconomics get a bit complex. The crucial thing to understand here is the RBI's delicate balancing act. On one hand, the RBI kept the repo rate completely unchanged. Why? Well, to fight off mounting inflation risks here in the domestic market. But simultaneously, they've eased up on foreign borrowing rules. The goal there is to ensure capital keeps flowing and to stop foreign money from exiting the market to support growth. It's essentially a masterclass in hitting two completely different monetary targets at once. Okay, shifting gears to international relations. Let's talk oil, trade deals, strategic energy diversification, and U.S. relations. Now, what's really fascinating here is India's dual-pronged approach to oil diplomacy. We're literally securing energy commitments from two heavily sanctioned global players at the exact same time. We've got Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez physically visiting India to hammer out energy deals, which perfectly highlights how much Venezuela is factoring into Delhi's oil diversification strategy. And at the exact same time, Russia's Rosneft has publicly assured a stable flow of Russian oil to India. So despite all the complexities and the ongoing war in West Asia, India is successfully keeping the lights on and the energy flowing. And it's not just oil. We've got some very rapid movement on the trade front, too. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal just announced that the government is moving fast to tie up loose ends, and the first tranche of the highly anticipated bilateral India-US trade deal is going to close by mid-July. So yeah, even with all the background chatter about tariffs, the diplomatic and economic machinery is pushing forward incredibly fast. Next up, science. We're looking at India's AI summit and how we're capitalizing on this massive technological momentum. So why is India's AI summit so absolutely critical to its future in the global tech landscape? If you're a policy aspirant, this is the million-dollar question you need to be asking yourself right now, as AI continues to reshape global economies. Well, As the BBC analyzed, taking advantage of this global momentum isn't just an option, it's non-negotiable. The core objectives are clear. India must secure its position as a creator of AI technology, not just a consumer who buys it from everyone else. This summit is all about building up our own domestic innovation frameworks and, of course, the regulations we need to protect citizens. It truly is a definitive turning point for India's technological sovereignty. Finally, let's turn to the environment. The heat wave crisis, life on the front lines of extreme climate. 47 degrees Celsius. I mean, just think about that for a second. It's a number that brutally grounds us in the physical reality of what people in India's hottest districts are dealing with today. There was actually a recent ground report from Delhi by the BBC, and they described the sheer difficulty of literally just standing in the streets because the temperatures have reached such blistering heights. And the socioeconomic impact of this, it's profound. The extreme heat is essentially destroying daily routines. Reporters noted that mornings and nights no longer exist, which just completely halts traditional daily productivity. From a public health standpoint, when warnings mandate staying indoors, outdoor labor is completely paralyzed. That is devastating for the livelihoods of daily wage earners. Furthermore, this extreme heat places immense, unprecedented pressure on our local power grids, water supplies, and medical infrastructure all at once. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will governance, macroeconomic policy, technology, and climate all intersect in shaping India's future policymaking? Think about it. As a future administrator, you're going to have angry youth demanding exam integrity, a central bank walking a tightrope on inflation, complex geopolitical energy deals, a high-stakes AI race, and a climate that's literally melting the pavement. How do you synthesize these compounding variables to govern effectively? Keep that question in the back of your mind as you study today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep learning.